Hello there, and welcome to our next episode of Takeoff, where we're going to be taking you on a thrilling journey through the world of aviation. My name is Megha Mathews, and I'm the editor of the Aviation 360 magazine, and I will also be your host for today. I'll be taking you behind the scenes on what's happening within the aviation industry with a 360-degree approach of some of the key highlights, industry trends, along with some tips and pointers to make sure that your podcast is rocking and rolling. This week, I'm joined by Dr. Gerasimos Kontos, who is also the Associate Professor at Abu Dhabi University. And he is also, he is a flight instructor, and he has also his interest in airport operations, ground handling, and pilot training. Today, Gerasimos and I are going to be talking about how can we look at architecting a seamless airport experience for the passengers. Hello, Gerasimos, welcoming you today for the episode of Takeoff.
Hello, and thank you very much for the invitation. It's a pleasure and honor for me to be here at the headquarters of Aviation 360, and very happy that I will be actually the first speaker for the podcast of a Takeoff series.
Tell us a brief about your aviation story.
They all started back in my early ages. I like to create kites and paper planes. Although I didn't study aviation initially, I believe aviation had chosen me. So after a couple of years, I quit studying IT and pursued a career in aviation, mainly for airport operations initially. But now mainly I'm focusing on flight operations and flight training.
Today, travelers want to breeze through the airport recognized by their smartphones using digital IDs such as facial recognition and fingerprints. Now, they see both as, simple and safe. Let's say they also use passwords as a sort of like a pass, How is this quickly evolving passenger expectations such as self-service, travel, be a way forward, and what are the underlying threats?
It's true that the future actually holds for a frictionless and more personalized travel experience. And you can see across the globe companies, either from startups or very big IT companies, collaborating with airport ecosystem to create such a seamless experience. You can have this initially during the passenger check-in, you can have it during baggage handling, of course security and passport control, and finally you can have it through aircraft boarding. Recently, a survey about how customers are willing actually to share their data to create such an experience was mandated by IATA. And actually, the results are very amazing. Passengers are very willing to share their data. They are very willing to share their face and other biometric data. However, they need to be more assured that their data will be used for good reason, and they will actually have this opportunity from the first to last mile of their journey.
When discussing a digital identity, the inevitable topic of data security and privacy must be addressed. What could be your thoughts on it? Let's say, from understanding from our privacy and data that is especially shared between stakeholders.
We may say these questions as whether we have the systems and whether the systems are ready and secure to actually protect privacy and decrease any potential loss. If you want my opinion, yes, the systems are ready and they are actually very secure. Including with biometric, we also have a 3D analysis of face recognition, but also the other characteristics of the face. We also have now blood flow analysis, and also we have iris analysis in the eyes. So these systems are actually very difficult to be penetrated by malicious software and other ideas. But it's not about, as always in technology, it's not the technology the main issue. It's actually how we're going to use the technology, and it is very, very important that the industry needs to work together with government stakeholder, public agency stakeholder, to make this thing to happen. And with the technology and with the security, we actually need to create a policy framework that will have the specific guidelines and standards and on how all this data will be used and how all this data will be shared, and mainly, if you want my opinion, how also the passengers will have control of the data and how they're going to be used.
Can we talk about how the government plays a vital role in creating the seamless airport experience for the passengers?
I truly believe that as a fragment, passengers would like to have the idea of one time, let's say, ID, which means that they will like to use one time their face recognition, then they can use it through all transportation means. So instead of when you change, let's say, from one airport to another airport or from one airline to another line, then you have to take either the bus or the metro. Again, you have to provide again your ID and credentials. One of the first things that actually is the future about this is that you could provide only once in any parts of this journey your ID. This ID will be actually matched with your biometric characteristics, and this will be actually be posted in one of the databases and of which will provide by government, and then these databases will be directly updated on the fly if I want to add that throughout your journey. So first part is that you have to create, let's say, interoperability between the systems that will allow all these systems between different airports and different airlines to be able to use your own single unique ID. The good news is that the technology exists, the frameworks exist. Even before we start discussing about digital IDs and biometrics, the technology was there. Of course, it takes some time for this to be adapted in the real process. The second thing that I would like to say is that along with technology comes the skepticism or the second thoughts. And in this idea, I see that passengers, although are willing to share their data, they need a little more support to be convinced how their data are going to be used. And of course, since your ID and it's something personal, soon you will also need to have control about this. So assuming that the passenger would like one day to stop traveling, or he would like to not be able to use his biometric ID, she or he could have control of who has this data and actually how this data are provided.
What are the current fragments within the seamless airport experience as a passenger you would probably see?
Yeah. Fully understand. Already biometrics are used in several of the airports, both in Europe, both in Asia and United States. And what I want to say is that improving the passenger experience also improves the airport experience. I mean that by using biometrics and by using a single ID or a single ID token, as it is usually known in the IT industry, and this token is directly associated with your face and your personality, and you spend less time in queues. And since you spend less time in queues, the airport can take advantage of this, so they will give you more options to spend time in the shops or in the dining area. Moving forward after this, during the boarding process, when you can just access the aircraft without having to show your boarding pass and passport, because these have already been associated with your ID token, you can directly board the aircraft, which also improves airport operational efficiency. What is unique in aviation, and was always unique, is that because it's an ecosystem of different partners that need to work together, including also government organization, and allow me, I will come back a little to tell something about this. Any delay that happened in the aviation is directly a delay related to the ground. Either it is from the passenger perspective, it is either for the airport, or it is for the airline. So if we start creating seamless travel experience for passenger, very soon this experience and the time saved from this experience will directly also support airport operations efficiency, and also airlines efficiency. So in this, I see very positive benefits for all the aviation ecosystem, to invest in this. To come back to what I said previously about the government, however, the key orchestrator of this ecosystem is the government, especially for the data and the privacy of the personal and passenger data. So we need to have across all airports and across all airlines, which means across all globe, a very, let's say, uniform policy and a uniform framework about which type of data we need, for how long we are going to use this data, where all this data from all the passengers around the world are going to be shared, and most importantly, who has access on the data and how we give access to the passengers to this data. Because as I said, convincing passengers to be truly partners of this is, from my side, the most critical factor that will influence the success, as always, of course, in aviation.
Lastly, today the design of terminals, is largely an architectural practice. Soon, hopefully, the design of the terminal building may become more of a virtual technology practice. Let's say, can we imagine this, or let's say, can we reimagine this reality?
Truth to be told, passengers' habits are changed over time, so we have to shift the way we support them in the airport. And the only way to do this now is to use technology, so it will help us to improve both operational efficiency and effectiveness for the airport and for the airlines. Come back now to design with the technology that currently exists. Airport operators and architectural companies can actually visualize how the airport will operate in the next coming 5 or 10 years, and they can also simulate passenger projections and travel flows in the airport. What I want to say is that even without starting any construction, you can simulate the whole aviation ecosystem around your airport area. So it will give you the option to see passenger flows, it will give you the option to see security, the lines in the security. It will give you the option to see how actually all these biometrics and face recognition technologies will help you to streamline the process. So especially you can also use virtual reality and augmented reality technologies to even help you visualize and design an airport in the virtual world, operate an airport in a virtual world, make tests and experiments, and after that, when you have found, let's say, the proper formula that will give you the maximum efficiency and effectiveness based on travel flows and passenger flows, you can start creating this. I can only add here that one of the major problems that airports face around the world, maybe not here in UAE or in the area, is that they are becoming constrained from increasing passenger flows. So the current terminal operations and current, let's say, airport planning that was designed a couple of 10 or 20 years before is now up to a limit. They cannot have it more. That's why there's a need to create new terminals. That's why there is a need to expand to even shorter airports. So for the future, technology will actually help you to see the passenger flows. It will help you to understand how, based on simulation statistics, you can use numbers to actually accurately predict passenger flow, so you can actually streamline your design.
Again, but last at least, do you have any final words?
I would like to say that which actually merges both the design of future airports, but also the idea of using biometrics in current airports to support the passenger flows and improve the efficiency, that you have to do it with the mindset known as privacy by design. In both situations, you will have to use enough data, both personal data, but also projected data, so you can put it in your models to see this happening. So you have to create first a policy framework, and allow me to say a global policy framework about how all this passenger data will be used. And this needs alignment between government agencies. We may also see private collaborations with government, and we may also see governments collaborate with private companies and some other entities to actually create such a policy framework. Data, and for those that which are mainly related to data science, they know that the real problem with the data is the data themselves, the protection of them and the quality of the data. So first you need to create the framework about which types of data you need, how you are going to protect it, which entities, including passengers, will have access to this data, and then create the underlying business logic behind this. Just a final sentence. Certainly, the future of travel is a frictionless travel. Allow me to say that the pandemic actually accelerated the time for us required to understand that we need to go in a more, let's say, touchless experience of travel, because we have to stay safe and protect. But the good thing is that now we learned from this idea, and we just need to create the underlying logic and the framework to make this happen.
Thank you very much again, Dr. Gerasimos, for taking the time to chat with me and imparting some experience on views. Also, thank you, listeners, for listening to our takeoff. You can always catch me on Spotify as well. So this is Megha Mathews and Gerasimos signing off for today's podcast. Thank you.